Please? Can we do this in one take? How are you guys doing? We're back at it again with another tutorial video, this time on how to make this amazing keyboard, and boy do I mean amazing, into something even more amazing.
Shut up and take my money!
My name is Stephen Cole. I'm a content creator for Twitch and YouTube. Plugs are down below in the description. Let's get started. Yar. Okay, so real quick here, the video actually ran much longer than I anticipated. I took a lot of video and I think it actually looked really good. So I'm going to actually split this into two parts. If you're here just to see the construction of the keyboard, continue watching. If you're here just to see the key bindings and the use of the program HIDmacros, go ahead and skip over to part 2 right over here. Thanks. All right, so here we see this wonderful keyboard that I found at Goodwill. Yes, those are Hello Kitty key cap top thing. I don't know exactly what they're called. It's a Crayola keyboard. It was made for kids. These buttons are huge. Listen to this. Let's get on with this. Doing a time lapse just because trying to get all the audio in for something like this would be really difficult for as much work as this thing took. So here it's time to disassemble the keyboard. I took everything apart. There I am looking extremely happy over those Hello Kitty keycaps. Yeah, I still have them somewhere. So anyway, yeah, you gotta disassemble the keyboard. I thought it was easier to just take the thing apart first and then get all of the electronics out of it, because we're gonna have to wash all of this. There's the little yellow stoppers that are in between the keycaps and the actual plastic there. After that, I went ahead and I punched out all of the keys. I used a little ice bucket with some soapy water. There was some kind of crud in there. You're usually going to get that kind of stuff whenever you get like a used keyboard of some sort.
Eddie, this mud is filthy!
Okay, so off screen a little bit, we did some scrubbing of the keycaps. You kind of see that I'm holding an old used toothbrush there. So I scrubbed them in the little ice bucket with the soapy water. Here I am using a strainer to just kind of rinse everything off, get all any residual crud junk stuff. Icky. Anyway, so yeah, just here, just throwing them out there and letting them dry overnight.
Many months later.
All right, so here we can see I decided to use some Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. It was made for metal and plastic to go ahead and spray paint the keys for the keyboard. Now, with them being such an odd shape, you kind of have to hit them from multiple different angles, and had to do a lot of different layers to get everything covered. We're going to kind of speed this up here a little bit, just so you guys don't have to watch me do this like 10 different passes or so. And that little piece flipped over on me. It was kind of frustrating, but you know, you'll have that. So after I took care of that, I wanted to try a couple different effects for what I might actually put on the keyboard. Here I'm using a black and white spray paint, and then using a can of compressed air to kind of move the paint around on the surface there, to kind of see how it would look. Kind of looks like waves, maybe like crashing up on a beach or something. I thought it was a really cool effect, but I decided to go with a different technique. This one is just using the black spray paint and then like using flecks of the white paint and throwing it on there. Kind of ended up looking like some bubbles, and I really like that one, so that's what I decided to go with. Now here with the odd shape of the keyboard, you kind of have to be really thorough, and I still didn't do as good of a job as I could have, but it turned out okay, as we can see here in the next frame after I did all the little speckles. Yeah, and on the close-up you can really see how they kind of look like bubbles because they get like a weird outline. I thought it turned out really neat. So after all of that was done, I had to try and make something that would actually cover the keycaps themselves. To do that, I had to measure the size of the keycaps But this proved to be somewhat frustrating because getting everything to convert over from a size in, say, a photo document to print out and then put on a sticker sheet, which I'll be using. I'll show these over here, the sticker sheet, and then the clear plastic over here, was actually kind of a trial and error to get everything all situated. But once I had the size of like one specific square, I could kind of go from there, and I started working on a Photoshop document to make all of the caps. So this was the document that I was making to kind of like have the perfect size. You can see I actually kind of print this out a couple different times, and I bring it back and measure, and I finally settle on the size of a keycap, and I decide that I'm going to go ahead and make the entire layout. So here you can see that I'm putting the actual caps kind of like in the same layout as they are on the actual keyboard itself. And there's quite a few buttons to go over, but not quite as many as you would think with like a normal keyboard. A problem that I came up with while doing this was that the space bar, backspace, or like the double wides, I didn't account for the spacing to be the same on this document as it was on the actual keyboard. So my space bar and backspace ended up being a little bit shorter than I wanted them to be, just because it didn't occur to me. But anyway, you can see I went ahead and I put in all of the text for the keys themselves. I made it really small, went and grabbed some quick little clip art for the arrow keys, and it took a little while to get all these straightened out, but it turned out pretty good. And that's just the essential keys that, you know, they'll be visible, but this isn't why we're actually using the keyboard. I just wanted to know what keys they were. Using a lot of really basic Photoshop stuff, using like the drop filter for the backdrop thing. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, now you're seeing memes. You're seeing lots of memes. I'm going ahead and I'm putting all of these in. These are what I'm going to be setting these buttons up to be. Like when I press the F, you can see it's the RIP, you know, rest in peace, Twitch, F. Ha, you died. It's funny. Anyway. I'm going through these really quick. I sped up this video a lot because I didn't want to waste anyone's time. There's a lot going on here. This video is actually like more than an hour long. So I did go through a lot of work to try and make sure that this was somewhat entertaining for everybody. Here we can see that I'm doing work with the buttons 1 through 0. I'm setting up going live shortly, intro, you know, YouTube screen, interview screen. These are scenes within OBS that I'm setting up. That way, you know, if you wanted to just hop to a scene real quick, just reach up, you press the number that's not actually on your keyboard. You wouldn't have to worry about hitting something that's in the middle of your gameplay, you know, switching a weapon by pressing 1, 2, or 3. Instead, you have this completely separate keyboard. You reach up, you hit the button, and it's like, boom! You're on the next scene that you want to show everybody else. Now, we've got the sheet of sticker paper, and we also have the roll of the clear, also sticker paper. But what we did is we're basically laminating the sticker sheet after we've printed onto it, so we can actually cut these out and we can place these onto the keyboard itself. Some printers are definitely going to work better than others. I wasn't super impressed with how mine came out. I think a glossy paper would probably work better, but so anyway, here's the keyboard. We got to put all those caps back in. That was actually like super good feeling. So here's the first button. As you can kind of see, it looks okay. Not the greatest. Everything was kind of cut out by hand. That little cutting thing that you see there actually wasn't like super great, but it was doing the job. The space bar, you can see that it wasn't the right length, which I had also mentioned before. I didn't quite measure that right, but what are you gonna do, you know? So before I placed any more stickers, I wanted to go ahead and get this thing back together to make sure it still worked, because it was super frustrating and it took a lot of time to cut all those out. So I wanted to go ahead and put it back together and make sure the thing worked.
6.5 hours later.
Funny story. It wasn't until today when I plugged the thing in that I even checked to see if the keyboard actually worked. Thankfully, yes, it does. So, yeah, 6.5 hours later, here we go. The completed keyboard. Looks awesome. Thank you guys for joining me on this wonderful little adventure of mine. I've really enjoyed working on this, and I think it turned out really good. If you would like to see us take this keyboard and actually put it to use, you're gonna have to stick around and wait for part 2. I have no idea how long it's gonna take me to get that out, but hopefully it does show up in the near future. Thanks again for hanging out. You guys have yourselves an awesome day, and I hope to see you again soon. Drop me any comments down below in the comment section. Obviously, you know what that is, and you can yell at me, and if you have any ideas or suggestions, or you just want to throw some shade, that's cool. Please like and subscribe.